So I just watched 2 episodes of Mahou Shoujo site, and God, I hate it. This is another example on how not to do a gritty Mahou Shoujo anime. How not to write Mahou Shoujo anime. Gritty Mahou Shoujo anime. I swear, since Madoka, all this dark Mahou Shoujo anime starts cropping out, and most of them sucks. And this Mahou Shoujo site, it's not just. There's only 2 episodes so far. It might turn better later, but in these 2 episodes, the writings are so disgustingly bad. I mean, there's no subtlety. There's no. It's so over the top on how dark and depressing it is that I cannot even take it as a satire, because it just becomes something like a trolling. I think the writers are trolling. I'm not sure. I've read the manga a bit. I saw some pages of the manga, but is it based on is the manga is the original material? But I'm not sure. Some if you can confirm it, I'm too lazy to check. But I feel like the writers are trolling to see how far they can how ridiculous they can write a basic premise, how they can write the scenes before. I feel like they're just pushing it, trying to do as ridiculous as possible, and see if it's gonna go with their editors. And it turns out they get an anime. I feel like in episode 1 and 2 so far, it feels so much like a shock factor, shock value. It's practically gore porn. Like, you know, Saw, Final Destination. Though I didn't watch most of the Final Destination. I was told that some of the Final Destinations are much better than the others. But nevertheless, my point is that in these 2 episodes so far I watched, I know there's a third episode that came out a few days ago, but I don't really plan to watch it anymore. But these 2 episodes that I've watched, it's just disgusting how much they push the grittiness. Okay, first let me explain the main characters. How tragic is her background? Okay, she's a student. She's usually, as usual, she got bullied by her classmates, but the level of the bully is so outrageous. It takes a really pathetic school and teachers do not care at all about this kind of bullying. Like in the first scene, when she came into the classroom, her table and chair has been defiled. The bully put some kind of glue on the chair, and the teacher just told her to just sit down because he wants to do the homeroom. Yeah, I mean, that's not realistic, and the scenes was not done well. And then later on, the three bully girls, how they bully her is so ridiculous. Like the first thing, they put the nails and razors in her shoes. There's so many of that. I wonder how did they even manage to bring that into a school in the first place. And then in the toilet, they practically physically assault her, and dunk her head into the toilet. Basically, the level of bully is too extreme. It's not just like kind of like harassment or standard bullying that you might expect in a school, something like you might see in a school. I mean, like in Malaysia recently, there's a viral YouTube clip where a bunch of students, secondary school students, bully one person, and then one person is dropped down to the floor, and they kick him over and over again. But it's not really like a strong kick. They kick pretty likely, but it's still but then all the students got disciplined. I think they got uh basically they got disciplined immediately after the video is up. But what I'm saying is that uh those students that bullied the student in Malaysia got reprimanded immediately. But in Mahou Shoujo side, the three girls, even though the level of bullying is so outrageous, they can still just trot around in their school like nothing happened. And then when she got home, there's this contrast of her brother being a very good student and a good son. She has a brother, yes, and then it turns out her brother is stressed out because her father puts a lot of expectation on him, and how he vents out his stress is by physically assaulting her. I'm pretty sure if this is a more mature if this is a much more mature story, they will include raping her. But how it's not just okay, how it shows in the anime is so gruesome. He tied her and then he punched and kicked her in the stomach. It's so over the top. It has no subtlety. The scenes are not really made well. Basically, what I'm saying is that it's so outrageous that it really puts me off. I mean, like, I understand. I mean, like, I don't mind if you want to make an overly tragic misfortunate unfortunate character as your protagonist, and then revolves the story around it. But when you put it in an anime or in a story, in a manga or something, you cannot just shove it into the viewer's face. It's because one thing, it kind of, when you shock factors is something that you cannot repeatedly shove it into the viewer's face, because it gets boring. The viewers gets kind of, what's the word, normalized, and then you are when you do that, you will feel compelled to turn things up to 11 every time. So it's not efficient, or it's not really a recommended writing approach. I mean, like, this, how about just toning down the bully and toning down the brother's ventilation of his stress. Maybe something like just makes him molest her. At least it's not physically punching her until she vomited. Yes, that exactly happened in the anime. when things become too outrageous like this, it becomes, it feels like a satire or trolling instead of a story that you want to tell. Anyways, I really hated the how it portrays the tragic background. And then, like usual, Mahou Shoujo nowadays in modern anime cannot be your standard Mahou Shoujo. It has to be dark. So the plot of this anime is like, she receives this kind of something like a magical gun, and she can use she can use it to teleport people. And the scene afterward, the second half of the first episode, yes, all this bullying, all this really violent, cringy, edgy, gritty things happens in the first half of the end of the first episode. On the second half is where the bullies continued bullying the heroine. And you know what? They add more shock value by having one of the bully throwing the heroine's kitten, not really her kitten, but something a kitten she feeds every day. She threw the kitten into the railway and it died because you know that's what bully does. They kill animal just because they hit one people, and then they bring this kind of blonde dick characters and tries to rape her, and then she retaliates by teleporting two of the bullies into the railway, and they got violently violently killed by the train. It's bloody, it's gruesome, it's, you know what, basically the the violence scene is, there's so many violence in the first episode, it just become like I said, it just become tiring. I mean, like, okay, let's go to episode 2. Episode 2 is when they the second another protagonist appear, a blonde character that as usual. Second episode is where someone from the inside of things will begin explaining to the heroine what happens, what's the basic plot, yada yada yada. And then it also introduce another character who is also a Mahou Shoujo and has a magical weapon as well. And how it portray the action scenes, the battle scenes, I say quote unquote, are pathetic in the first place. And the how they draw the characters' expression is so comically evil, comically cartoonishly evil. It just become, and I'm convinced that this is just trolling by the writers and the artists. It adds nothing. It just become cringy, and things happen more after a couple of more stupidly drawn expressions, and then the new Mahou Shoujo died, the bad one. So here's the thing. Plot wise, I think it can work. I said that to every anime in the world basically. The plot can work. But how it depicts the tragic background is so over the top. It diminishes the story, and how it insists on using this kind of characters facial expressions, facial expression to be this kind of so horrendous. It just become shock factor, the anime. So I really hate it. What merit the story has is kind of thrown away. I cannot enjoy it. So I hate how I hate most of this genre, this subversion genre where Mahou Shoujo becomes a very dark and gritty story, and I kind of wish there's more good. I mean, I don't oppose the concept. In fact, I like mature story, the story that engages me. But at the same time, it all boils down on execution, and these 2 episodes of Mahou Shoujo side just is a cringe fest. I know using the word cringe is cringe itself, but this 2 episodes is cringe fest, full of shock value that has little merit. On the bright side, the music is pretty good. I think the music is pretty cool in most places. But in conclusion, please don't write dark Mahou Shoujo story like this. Please focus on execution of the story rather than try to shock the viewers and the readers with violence and absolute despair. Anyways, Lunar is out.